Welcome, my absolute anarchists. Today, ComixFM brings you the complete first story arc of Absolute Batman, the Dark Knight unlike any you've ever known. This is the Batman of Earth Omega, a monster forged in chaos, born from the essence of Darkseid himself. This DC Comics story arc from Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta is blood-soaked, bone-shattering, and drenched in fire. If you thought you knew Batman, prepare for a version that chews through the evil, tears down the corrupt, and stares death in the eye only to laugh back. So smash that subscribe button, gear up, and let's dive headfirst into the carnage. Chapter 1. A young Bruce Wayne visited the Gotham Zoo, excitedly pressing his hands against a sign at the bat exhibit, eager to see the Chiroptera habitat. A teacher called his name, reminding him there would be plenty of time for bats later, and led the group to start the zoo tour. But there was something wrong. Someone had brought a handgun to the zoo. The scene moved to the present. A nighttime view of Gotham City. A man riding a motorcycle through the city reflected on how Gotham had changed while they were gone. News screens reported a brutal attack by the Party Animal gang, which had killed 9 people, including 2 police officers. The rider noticed the city seemed brighter but sensed something hollow at its core and couldn't find its heart, even after circling the area 3 times. The rider, revealed to be Alfred Pennyworth, barely recognized Gotham anymore and wasn't sure if he liked the new version. He greeted Amir at a deli, who welcomed him warmly and warned him not to leave his bike outside. Alfred trusted Amir, who ran the only decent tea shop in Gotham, and kept his things in the building next door. He reflected that Amir had left Kabul 20 years ago and had invited Alfred to his home many times, though Alfred wondered if Amir would have if he knew what Alfred did during that conflict. Alfred entered a secure room, monitored by a red camera, and revealed an arsenal of weapons. He prepared tea, handled a gun, and called Julia, leaving her a voicemail saying he was in Gotham and wished to see her if she still lived there. He logged in for a mission briefing. The voice on the call assigned him to gather information on the Party Animals gang, who had caused chaos in the last 3 months, raising Gotham's murder rate by 700%. His orders were to strictly observe and not engage, but if another player circling the gang got too close, Alfred was authorized to intervene. He received coordinates for surveillance, pocketed his gun, and left, mentally reminding himself that as a servant, he must always answer the call, no matter where it came from. As Alfred stepped out, he found that someone had stolen his bike. He muttered angrily, "I hate this goddamn town." At Croc's gym, a man trained intensely, repeatedly punching and kicking a heavy bag while telling himself, "No fear, no weakness." Suddenly, he was interrupted by another big hulking man, Bruce Wayne. The little man joked about keeping the bag warm for Bruce and mentioned meeting to prepare for a date, saying it was brutal out there. Bruce, unfazed, told him not to worry because love is in the air, then took over the bag and unleashed a powerful barrage of punches and kicks, as everyone else looked in awe. While punching, Bruce's mind drifted back to the school field trip at the zoo. The school teacher and his father, Thomas Wayne, asked the class what they learned from watching a lion. Bruce, pressed to answer, noted the lion slept 20 hours a day, was fed prime rib 3 times daily, and had nothing to fear. Thomas replied that while the lion had an easy life, it would never mean much or affect anything, unlike people who went to school. Bruce and his father joked about school and an upcoming movie night, with Bruce unsure if he really wanted to go. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out. Blam! As his trance broke, Bruce delivered a final devastating blow to the bag, splitting it open and spilling sand everywhere. Waylon walked in with his pet alligators and snakes, complaining about the mess. Bruce apologized, and Waylon charged him $90 for the bag and $30 for the sand, citing the cost of cleaning up. Bruce asked about the exotic pet license, and Waylon said Ozzy helped him with it. Bruce warned him that Ozzy may get arrested soon, but Waylon joked that penguins knew where to hide their eggs. Waylon encouraged Bruce to come to poker night, listing other regulars, Eddie, Ozzy, Harvey, and Selena. But Bruce refused, saying he couldn't. Waylon pressed further about attending the town hall, and Bruce again declined. Waylon was still disturbed by a violent crime where an entire family was killed by the party animals. He was clearly distressed at the city's condition. He tried to connect to Bruce, pointing to their old childhood photo, insisting that Gotham was their home and someone had to do something. Elsewhere, a large yacht sat anchored at night, blaring loud electronic music. Inside, lavish food and entertainment were on display, with a masked DJ named Dr. Benjamin at the turntable and people swimming in the pool. At a table, crime lords gathered: Roman Sionis, aka Black Mask, Maroni, and Falcone. Roman was questioned about the Party Animals gang, accused of brutal murders, even of children. Maroni and Falcone pressed him, asking if the rumors were true that Roman's people were behind it. Roman's partner, Rosa, rejoined the table. A little kid joined them too. Maroni complained about the noise and asked if it could get any louder. Roman proudly claimed the DJ had a PhD in musicology. As the volume was turned down, Maroni and Falcone reminded Roman that Gotham had rules and history. The others insisted they had deep roots in Gotham and threatened Roman to leave by dawn. Roman replied that history was exactly what they were celebrating, its end. Rosa revealed a display of death masks, including rare ones of Socrates, Martin Luther, and George Washington, then masks of Maroni and Falcone's own relatives, signifying their impending deaths. Before they could react, Rosa stabbed Maroni in the eyes and killed him. The kid jumped behind Falcone and strangled him. Roman signaled Dr. Benjamin to turn up the music. Meanwhile, news reports covered the terror caused by the party animals. 6 more murders that day, with footage warning viewers of the graphic violence. The city's residents were frightened, and Mayor Jim Gordon scheduled an emergency town hall to address the crisis. While the town hall was going to start, Bruce dressed up in his absolute Batman armor and glided off from a rooftop. At the town hall, angry citizens shouted at Gordon, accusing him of failing to protect the city and claiming they felt safer under the corrupt Mayor Hill. Gordon tried to assure them that the police were doing their best. Waylon supported him, but people were scared and tension mounted. Stationed outside on the rooftop, Alfred Pennyworth reported to his superiors that the party animals had arrived, heavily armed. He requested permission to engage if things went bad, but was ordered to observe only. Inside, Gordon promised justice, but citizens shouted that police couldn't stop the gang. Martha Wayne spoke up and urged unity to stop the killers, but a grenade exploded in the auditorium, plunging the town hall into chaos. Gunmen wearing skull masks stormed the town hall, declaring, "The word you're looking for, miss, is die," and opened fire. Jim Gordon stood on stage, calling for the attackers to deal with him directly and not harm anyone else. One gunman shot at Gordon. He dodged but was injured. His daughter Barbara cried out for him, and Gordon urged her to get everyone out. The attackers taunted the audience, asking if anyone wanted to beg for their lives, but quickly decided to rip them up. Suddenly, a retractable bat cape wrapped the gunman around the neck and pulled him out. The entrance shut close. The police ordered everyone to move to the back and stay down. Looking outside, they saw dozens of armed assailants, an entire army. Barbara prepared to secure the area, but as she opened the door, she was startled by Batman, hanging upside down. He instructed, "Whatever you hear, you do not open this door." Outside, Alfred Pennyworth, stationed with a rifle, reported that Batman had arrived, and he was told to engage if Batman disrupted intel gathering. Alfred watched as Batman attacked from the rooftop, enduring a hail of bullets that pinged harmlessly off his armored cape. The party animals fired relentlessly, but Batman retaliated, deploying smoke bombs and leaping down among them. Batman used his retractable cape, sending one through a window and knocking others into the street and against a lamppost. He moved swiftly, incapacitating enemies with powerful kicks. Alfred, observing through a scope, admitted Batman had flair, and updated his superiors that he was still gathering data and not being disrupted yet. Batman stood at the foot of the steps as more party animals prepared to attack, while Alfred locked in his sights, ready to see what Batman would do next. Batman faced a large group of armed attackers in skull masks on the steps and fought them without hesitation. As he fought, Alfred analyzed Batman's every move, observing that Batman was fast, steady, and highly focused. Batman detached his long ears, which were actually batarangs, and threw them at the thugs, disorienting one and stabbing the other, but intentionally missing the arteries. Alfred noted Batman's training in various martial arts, recognizing his technique as a unique blend with a focus on striking. Batman was putting on a brutal show, loudly breaking limbs and using knives with bloody precision, but always careful not to kill, even as he incapacitated his opponents. With the attackers down, the gang's leader, a huge, muscular man, stepped forward wielding a cleaver. He threatened Batman, boasting about his deadly reputation and demanding Batman move aside. Batman stood firm and pulled out a baton from his utility belt. He fixed it to the bat emblem on his chest and pulled it down. It was a battle axe. As the leader swung, Batman swung his axe and severed his hand. He told the leader coldly that hands could sometimes be reattached and suggested he run to the nearest hospital before turning to scream at the remaining gang that they had one chance to escape. He shouted at them to get out of his way. As the party animals fled, Alfred watched and silently assessed Batman's approach, thinking a true tactician would have planned a trap for those fleeing. Right then, Batman detonated an explosion among the retreating gang members and incapacitated them. Receiving a call to observe only, Alfred agreed but prepared to act if necessary. He advanced into the aftermath, wielding a rare DC-34 automatic shotgun and threatening Batman, boasting the weapon's lethality. Batman quickly disarmed Alfred with a kick and took the shotgun, taunting, "It sounds dangerous." From the construction site the next day, Bruce Wayne left for Gotham Zoo. Alfred followed him. He had worked Batman's secret identity out, but still he wondered, who was Bruce Wayne really? Was he just a regular 24-year-old with a social worker mother and a teacher father? He knew that Bruce grew up in Crime Alley, where his tight group of friends kept to themselves. He knew how Bruce excelled in school, with his parents ensuring he was always tested, often scoring at near genius levels. In 5th grade, Bruce won an engineering competition by creating a collapsible bridge modeled after a bat's wing, designed to aid disaster-hit locations. The prize included a trophy and a class trip to the Gotham Zoo. That trip was where everything began for him. As Bruce reached the zoo, he knelt down at a specific spot and put a flower there. It was the spot his father was gunned down. He remembered the chaos that erupted at the zoo that day. Gunfire broke out, bodies fell, as Thomas Wayne shouted for the kids to follow him. He hurried the kids towards safety as shots rang out. He yelled for everyone to get inside the bat enclosure. He urged the children to the back and made sure Bruce got inside. Bruce yelled for his father to get inside, but he stayed outside. Through the crack of the door, Thomas told him not to open it for any reason, just as gunfire rang out. Bruce's hand pressed to the door in terror as the sound of another gunshot echoed. After this trauma, Bruce spiraled for a time, lashing out until he eventually found inspiration again. He got back on track, returned to school, and earned a scholarship. At university, he suffered a soft tissue injury during his first week playing football, but his observer, Alfred, suspected he faked it to avoid risking his body for anything except his true mission. He noted that Bruce returned to Gotham and began working in the power grid, then rotated through the water and sanitation departments, gradually learning every part of the city. He interned at City Hall, studying public policy, learning Gotham's systems in depth, before coming full circle as an engineer, creating and building, even fixing the stairs he had blown up the night before. Looking over the city, Alfred acknowledged that Bruce had built something impressive. However, Alfred reflected that he had defeated Crusaders like Bruce before, in all environments, because Crusaders always had a weakness. And he readied his weapon, believing Bruce's was within reach. Bruce's mother, Martha, waited outside for him, teasing him for making her wait. Bruce apologized, explaining he had stopped by the zoo. As Bruce joined his mother, Alfred considered killing Bruce then and there, thinking it would be easy, but hesitated. A message buzzed on Alfred's phone. "Never contact me again," from his daughter Julia. Bruce and Martha walked away together, while Alfred watched, thinking Bruce was just a kid. That night, Bruce analyzed the ape skull masks and discovered advanced circuitry inside. They weren't just for protection or intimidation. He ended his recording as he heard someone approach and prepared for action. Meanwhile, Alfred climbed to the upper floors of an empty building, noting that these floors belonged to companies and oligarchs who used them only for investments, floors Bruce had helped build. As he aimed his weapon, Bruce, in his Batman attire, quickly disarmed him. He aimed Alfred's shotgun at him, which he had previously coveted. Alfred taunted Bruce. Could he kill? Batman fired, knocking Alfred back, batarangs in his face. Batman then escaped on Alfred's motorcycle, shattering a window and launching himself out from 1,000 feet up, leaving Alfred bloodied and frustrated, realizing Batman had tampered with his prized shotgun. As Batman rode the motorcycle through the air, Alfred wondered where he'd land. He said to himself, maybe Gotham wasn't so bad after all. In the epilogue, an agent reported to Alfred about losing track of an old target in the Philippines. It was revealed the target had studied with Henri Ducard and trained with the League of Assassins before going missing. In Manila, 2 helicopter pilots discussed the aliases of their client whom they were lifting. All of them were false. One pilot said never to joke in front of the client, as he never laughed. He said that's why their client was called the Joker. Chapter 2. On that fateful day in the zoo, Bruce cried and begged his father to open the door, but his father had already been shot, his body slumped and unresponsive on the other side. Suddenly, Bruce noticed something behind him and turned, just as a bat shrieked at him. More bats crashed through a glass window, swarming the room. Bruce stared wide-eyed as the bats flew at him, their screeches filling the air and covering him entirely. At present, Alfred reflected on what happened in the weeks that followed. The party animals escalated their attacks across Gotham, while Batman countered them with increasing force. One night at the Gotham Aquarium, Batman confronted the party animals, anticipating their next big strike. He fought through the gang, taking hits from knives and gunfire, but always staying ahead. As the thugs swarmed him, Alfred observed that Batman seemed to predict the timing and location of these attacks. Alfred had tried to help by adding extra surveillance protections, which also helped him collect valuable data with every disruption. Roman Sionis, the leader of the party animals, responded by recruiting even more followers, amassing a force strong enough to resemble a small army. Batman, relying on his special forces experience, knew when to press forward and when to pull back. Alfred hoped Bruce would finally realize it was time to retreat. During a heated battle, Batman was attacked and thrown into a large aquarium tank, but he deployed spikes from his suit to break the glass. As the aquarium shattered and water rushed out, Batman tossed a chemical into the water, turning it into acid and burning the party animals, forcing their retreat. Alfred tracked Batman's movements across as many caves and safe houses throughout Gotham, shocked to find their locations formed the bat symbol on the map. Bruce's routine was strict, but he broke it once to visit Joseph Chill at Blackgate Penitentiary. Alfred didn't know what was said, but recognized how Batman's activity had helped him gather insights about Sionis. When ordered to remove Batman's protections, Alfred complied, and the party animals quickly found Batman's hideouts. He hoped Bruce would understand the need to retreat and regroup as the party animals prepared to strike again, discovering one of Batman's base in a high-rise. But suddenly there was an explosion. The party animals scattered and ran down the stairs however they could. The crowd outside watched in shock as the building burned. Then, 2 explosives rocketed to both sides of the structure. When they exploded, the blasts formed 2 fiery eyes, while the burning top of the building resembled a bat cow. As Batman looked at the towering inferno shaped like his symbol, Alfred observed that the message was clear. Batman was absolutely unstoppable. On television, a news panel discussed the surprising rise in support for Batman despite the escalating violence. Former Mayor Hill appeared, blaming Gordon for the city's decline. Meanwhile, Gordon lay in a hospital bed, recovering, as Barbara Gordon and Bullock visited. Gordon turned off the TV, not wanting to listen any longer, while Bullock updated him on resource requests. They debated whether Batman or the party animals were responsible for the rising violence. Bullock insisted that the party animals were reacting to Batman, not the other way around. Gordon expressed doubts about Batman's allegiance, but Barbara pointed out that Batman was clearly fighting the party animals, and had even been helping the police by tipping them off about attacks. Barbara comforted Gordon, and soon Martha Wayne arrived to check on her. Gordon, still anxious, learned that the party animals were now attacking the Port Authority and told Barbara to be careful. Barbara urged him to rest, while Martha called her a good kid. As Martha and Gordon spoke, they reflected on the state of the world, wondering about the struggles today's youth faced. Martha lit a cigarette and said young people would have to be even crazier than her generation. Gordon remarked she sounded like Thomas, and Martha admitted she missed him and believed he would have liked Batman. He confessed that his re-election felt like a pipe dream, but Martha responded that even pipe dreams were worth having. Gordon remembered the day he found Bruce, recalling that he hadn't seen the boy at first. He spotted him when Bruce had screamed, and the bats that were covering him flew away. When asked about Bruce, Martha admitted she barely knew her son anymore. She remembered the night Bruce sat alone in his room, holding a science fair medal, and told his mother to send his friends away. When Martha encouraged him to greet them, Bruce angrily shouted for her to leave him alone, began to cry, and threw away his medal. Bruce arrived at a poker table, surprising his old friends, Waylon, Harvey, Ozzy, and Eddie. They greeted him with jokes and disbelief at his sudden appearance. Waylon tried to take a picture, but Harvey stopped him. The group teased Harvey about his current job pushing papers for the DA, while Ozzy joked that Harvey acted too good for them now. Eddie begged everyone to quiet down so he could count cards. The poker game began, with Bruce joining the ante. Eddie mocked Harvey's math, making puns about cubic feet. Ozzy joked about signing Bruce up for a layaway program if he couldn't cover the stakes. Bruce tossed a coin at him, still joking. Selina's chair remained empty, and Waylon mentioned he'd received the postcard from Cairo, but no further news. Bruce raised the bet to 20, and Harvey confidently raised it to 2,000. Suddenly, Bruce placed a party animal skull on the table, startling everyone. He explained it wasn't an ape skull, but a high-tech device he found at City Hall, pointing out the wiring and embedded GPS chips. Eddie examined the skull and explained that its chips mapped shared targets across a private GPS network, a geographical information system. He noticed some chips were especially advanced and decided to take one for study. When Bruce hinted at Ozzy's connections to Roman, Ozzy discussed rumors about the party animals' movements and Roman killing off his rivals, forcing Ozzy to stay cautious. Bruce asked if the chaos was politically motivated to undermine Gordon's re-election, but Harvey suggested money was the real motivator, more than power. As the game continued, Harvey revealed 2 pairs, but Bruce beat him with 3 aces. Eddie pointed out a joker card in the deck, laughing that jokers were never welcome at their table. Later, Batman worked through the night, following a tip about Mayor Hill collecting large sums of capital linked to a golden chest. Batman broke into Hill's office, searched the computer, and found a folder named Arc M, deducing that the so-called golden chest was really an arc. Batman accessed the computer in Hill's office, when suddenly Roman's face appeared on the giant monitor. Roman greeted Batman, saying they finally met, but there wasn't much time to chat. He offered Batman a deal, promising everything he ever wanted, but warned that Batman was in a tough spot. Roman revealed that he had tipped off the entire GCPD and surrounded the building with his own men. He told Batman all he had to do was survive. Outside, police and party animals aimed weapons at the building. A party animal fired a rocket at Batman, causing an explosion. Batman crashed through a window, landing and immediately smashing through a wall. As he dropped into a lower level, Alfred called out, asking Batman to hear him out. Batman replied, "No," but Alfred, heavily armed and armored, said he had learned the party animals weren't what they seemed. Alfred pleaded with Batman to listen, insisting they could help each other. Batman agreed to give him 30 seconds. Alfred explained they needed to get out because the party animals were everywhere, but he had a car hidden nearby, unless Batman had his own escape. Batman grinned and revealed they were already standing in his car. With a roar, the Bat tank crashed out of the building, scattering cops and party animals. In a flashback, young Bruce sat alone in his room, looking dejected, when Selina appeared at his window, asking if he lost something. She told him to get up. He was coming with her. Chapter 3. In his memory, Bruce chased Selina over the rooftops. He shouted at her to stop, but Selina told him to keep up if he wanted his genius medal back. They jumped rooftops and Selina headed for a walk over a cable. Bruce was afraid, asking if Selina was nuts. Selina said it was just 2 stories and suggested that Bruce change his point of view to that of a cat. A cat has sharp vision but only up to a distance, so Bruce should not be looking beyond the ledge. Bruce slipped, but Selina caught him, telling him to use the cat vision for the rest of the night. Back at the present, Alfred knew that he had spent 40 years of his life mastering stuff. He had multiple passports and lived a completely anonymous life, only to find himself riding a giant bat-themed dump truck right in the middle of Gotham. He reflected that he hated the Batman. Alfred screamed at Batman that he couldn't just plow through the city. Batman gave him 30 seconds to explain himself. As Alfred shot at the party animals chasing them, he said that there is a rumor of a man called the Black Mask, a secret paramilitary agent working for the most powerful people. He believed that Roman Sionis was the Black Mask. Suddenly, the party animals shot a rocket at them. The Batmobile was slow, but it dodged the rocket. Alfred screamed that they needed a vehicle that could go faster. Hitting a switch, Batman growled, "I will pretend you didn't say that." 600 pounds of steel started to compress, shifting on its chassis and hydraulics, and the Batmobile transformed into a more compact, quicker version. Alfred reflected that he might actually love the Batman. As the Batmobile zoomed through the city on kerosene and homemade jet engines, Batman gave Alfred 20 more seconds to explain. Alfred said that he could help him. Batman replied, "Then prove it." Alfred closed the hatch and told Bruce that there was no way he could go against Roman. He was too big to handle. Batman said, "I will build bigger." Alfred used makeshift guns to fire electrically charged back projectiles and blasted their way through the party animals. He told Batman that Roman had already finished what he sought to do in Gotham, and he was ready to step back as he offered Batman a deal. Alfred told Batman to accept Roman's offer. In that case, Alfred would gather all the intel on Black Mask and leave Gotham. Bruce gets the money and builds Batman bigger than ever and becomes a legend. As he said this, Batman deployed a massive ball and chain to disperse the gang as Alfred shot at them. When asked what he would do with the intel, Alfred said that he and his team would use the intel to apprehend Roman down the line. Sirens grew loud as the Batmobile was surrounded by Commissioner Bullock and his team. Alfred didn't know what to do next. He asked if Batman had something to get them out. Batman whispered to Alfred, "The lever in front of you." As Alfred pulled it, he was ejected out and fell into the river. Batman rolled the Batmobile into the river and drove it underwater to reach a secret location. In his memory, Bruce remembered asking Selina about her new home. Selina brushed that question off, saying it was bad. Bruce wanted Selina to come live with him, but she wanted to talk about something happy. She pointed out that the lion was getting released from the zoo and sent to its home in Tanzania, which was good. Then she took Bruce to a theater and made him watch the Zorro movie. Surprised, Bruce asked, "What do you think you're doing?" In the present, Bruce went to meet Eddie to ask him about the ape skull, but Eddie introduced Bruce to his android instead, which he claimed to be a version of himself. He said that later he would like to name it something riddle-based. Bruce coldly asked the android about how the ape skull masks worked. The android pointed out that the mask gave the party animals disguise, then created a wallet for them for an underground cryptocurrency called Black Coin. The currency is given to the wearers based on their targets: arson, robbery, and murder. Bruce asked if the network could be disrupted. That android said that it was impossible, as the network was too expansive and satellite-based. Bruce questioned Eddie about the android's knowledge. The android cut in and said that Eddie did not want to help Bruce. Eddie smiled and told Bruce that he was a close friend and he really needed to stop whatever he was doing. Right then, Harvey called. He told Bruce that despite the risks, he had looked into the ARC funds. A lot of funding came from JK Holdings, a company having global subsidiaries, but mainly private prisons called black sites. Various biotech, pharmaceuticals, and genomic firms have invested in the sites, and it didn't look good. Commissioner Bullock arrived at a dock where former Mayor Hill greeted him warmly, saying he appreciated the meeting. Bullock immediately said Hill wouldn't get his endorsement, but Hill told him to slow down, claiming he only wanted to thank him and introduce him to a friend. Hill called up to Dr. Benjamin for permission to come aboard, learning he was in the body room. As they boarded, Hill assured Bullock that Benjamin could help through him. Inside, Hill introduced Bullock to Roman Sionis, who welcomed him and introduced Bibbo Bibowski, a former boxing champ, whom he was sparring with. Roman invited Bullock to make himself at home, and when Bullock asked about the mask, Roman said it was for anonymity, as he had many enemies. Calling himself a professional pacifist, he explained that he helped bring peace to troubled areas. He claimed good places were being exploited by bad people, including Gotham under Jim Gordon. As they sparred, Roman attacked and broke Biggo's hand while sparring, saying bad people were tearing Gotham apart. Blogg refused to badmouth Gordon, but Roman insisted Gordon was good and that he understood Bullock's bond with him. Roman said the party animals were degenerates, growing in number alongside Batman. He warned that without control, things would collapse, hearts and minds leading to war. He offered Bullock vehicles and choppers through official channels. While he said all these, Roman held Bibble in a chokehold. Bibble's eyes went red as he was being strangled. Bullock stepped in to stop the fight, but Roman assured him that Bibble would be fine and urged they discuss peace, and took him away, as Bibble lay on the ground, motionless. Meanwhile, Bruce did a recon on the black sites. Alfred followed him and reflected that those sites, called ARCs, were secret prisons tied to governments worldwide. ARC A was in Santa Prisca, ARC B in Russia, ARC C in China, and ARC M, the largest, was planned for Gotham. Through binoculars, Bruce saw what he was up against, and all he could lose. In a memory, young Bruce fought Selina playfully at a theater, where she urged him to use his talents and face challenges directly, just like Zorro. Suddenly, all his friends, Waylon, Eddie, Harvey, and Ozzy, arrived and fought over popcorn. In the present, Bruce visited Martha, who was becoming Jim Gordon's deputy mayor. Bruce warned she'd be targeted, but she insisted she believed in Jim's mission. It was how she was, same as Bruce's father. Bruce indicated that his father got himself killed. Martha, angry, told Bruce that she would hit him, but instead she kissed him on the head and told him to clean up before he left. Alfred watched his daughter Julia from a distance, thinking that bravery, skill, or righteousness couldn't protect people. At a fenced playground, Julia was asked by children to play kickball. She joked it wouldn't be fair for them, then went to retrieve the ball that rolled into the street. Alfred reflected that there was only one way to keep them safe: accept it. The TV showed chaos in Gotham, as Hill urged focusing on the larger forces and doing the only good thing possible. News reported party animals' attacks and Gordon's hospitalization. Hill gave a speech declaring Gordon's failure, announcing Bullock and GCPD's endorsement, urging Gotham to take back control. He proposed not lighting the memorial on the zoo shooting anniversary. As Bruce sat alone, he went through a video message from Roman. Roman had made his offer, $200 million for Batman to stand down for a week. After that, he could buy any kind of resources with that money. Bruce cut in, saying enough, and agreed, "I'll take the deal." Chapter 4. On the day of the hearing for Thomas Wayne's murder, Bruce Wayne was given permission to speak before Mr. Chill's statement, as he claimed it was urgent. The judge noted it was unconventional, but allowed it due to the extraordinary nature of the case, prompting Bruce to begin. Years later, on a rooftop, a thug named Raph of the 10 Thieves gang confronted 3 residents, demanding they pay the gang for protection. He mocked their pride in the Park Row neighborhood, now called Crime Alley, and told them to pay up. Mrs. Ning refused, saying that she would pay no gang. Raph insisted they only wanted to keep the area safe but needed funding. He warned that without vigilance, things could turn dangerous. He suddenly pushed Mrs. Ning off the rooftop, but within seconds she landed safely. Raph was confused. Suddenly, Batman attacked, screeching as he pounced on Brody, biting his neck. Blood sprayed as Raph shouted in shock. Brody went into an epileptic shock. Batman hissed and attacked another thug, cutting him with claws. Raph pulled a gun and fired at him. Bullets bounced off Batman's cape, and Batman struck Raph hard, disarming him and pointing the gun at his head. It was Bruce's first night as Batman. The narrative cut into Bruce's childhood, the day he showed his Batbridge project to his father. He said, "I chose that." Thomas Wayne questioned him. Bruce explained bats were intimidating. His bridge design was high, reinforced, gated, and made people feel safe. He tested it up to 30 pounds. Thomas acknowledged the effort, but questioned if intimidation was the best approach for a place in need. He quickly corrected himself, saying he was proud of Bruce. The scene shifted back to the night, with Batman holding the gun at Raph, recalling Thomas's words, "Good luck with it, son." Suddenly, armed men shouted for Batman to drop the weapon immediately. Thinking to himself that this was all wrong, Batman used his grapple to leap away, questioning to himself what he was doing. Rocking, Bruce reflected, calling it theatrics, the face paint, the voice distorter, silicon fangs with paralytic, and even the gun. He threw them all into a dumbfire. On the subway, he realized street criminals like the 10 Thieves would only be replaced if scared off. It wasn't enough. Batman needed to do more. He resolved to think bigger and build accordingly. So, he started building himself as well as the Batman. Investigating, Bruce tracked the Orange Blossom Special pipeline from Florida, where gun and pharmaceutical laws were looser. 80% of illegal weapons in Gotham, along with pills, came in this way, hidden in produce trucks to mask weight and scent. The Maronis and Falcones ran checkpoints for the shipments. The families moved locations monthly to avoid raids, operating openly due to their influence with companies and banks. Bruce concluded they were too large to take down. He used a small RC Roadster toy and steered it beneath the arms truck. 2 smugglers inside the truck talked casually until they spotted Batman blocking their path. They tried to run him down, but he pulled a remote trigger, detonating an RC Roadster, notified with an explosive charge. The blast caused the truck's trailer to lift and crash, scattering its cargo. Weapons spilled from crates as the smugglers scrambled. Batman attacked quickly, striking them down with brutal punches and kicks. In the past, Bruce showed the modified Batbridge to Thomas. He said, "I think maybe I figured it out." Bruce proudly showed Thomas his Batbridge model, explaining bats adapt to succeed in new areas, and his design reflected that. This version had adjustable pilings, a deck on rotators, and extendable girders. Thomas called it impressive, and said what mattered was that Bruce felt it was his best work, and that it captured what was special about bats at their core. Bruce questioned how one knew what something's core was. Thomas shared that before Bruce was born, he wanted to be a heart surgeon. As a boy, he would visit the pier with his father for chocolate-covered bananas. One Sunday, his father suddenly collapsed from a massive coronary. That fear of being alone drove Thomas to want to save others. Though he didn't become a doctor, life changed when Bruce was on the way. He searched for purpose and found it in teaching. helping kids prepare for the world. He praised Bruce's work before leaving for dinner. On the day of the hearing, Bruce began his statement to Joe Chill, recalling the perfect day at the zoo with his father, feeling proud and happy. He realized he wanted that happiness to last forever, and it didn't get better than that. Years later, while Bruce was building Batman, he reflected he had focused on the bridge rather than the people. People in troubled places wanted to live and flourish but felt unseen, worried, angry, or scared. In the court, addressing Chill, Bruce said he didn't care why he did it. He had killed that happiness forever, and declared he hated him. Later, while training hard in designing, Bruce found a cave. He remembered when he showed the final version of the bridge to his father. He said that here and now, the bat needed to be even more intimidating and adaptable, mapping farther and roosting in new places. Years later, Bruce invented a new device he called the Bat Thumb, the exoskeleton of his retractable cape. He used its grappling claw-like mechanism, climbing with it. Bruce's memories went back. Thomas had urged him to stop stalling and show the final bridge. Bruce explained that this version had all previous features but one extra. It could fly. It was lightweight, foldable, and could be dropped from a plane with a parachute so locals could set it up themselves. Instructions were included, making the bridge theirs to use for aid or defense. With his absolute Batman avatar ready, Bruce visited the annual Dance for a Better Gotham charity ball. He targeted Randall Powers, a billionaire trucking magnate tied to the Maronis and Falconos. Powers publicly supported regulations but privately lobbied against them. He overheard corrupt dealings among other attendees, an EPA chief colluding with a polluter, a politician taking donations instead of action. Hidden under the dance floor were store-bought 3 million years with a thermal coil capable of heating them dangerously. As Batman, he vowed to bring them down. Bruce remembered showing Thomas the bridge's hidden buzzsaws for hard-to-reach places. Thomas said maybe too much was good these days. Batman reflected that what made a bat special was its ability to defy the impossible. As GCPD helicopters closed in, he thought about bats being the only mammals that fly, inspiring him to go bigger and higher. In the present, Bruce, determined, told himself to go places that are unreachable, and decided, I think it's ready. And so he leaped. In a prison visitation room, he faced Joe Chill. Bruce clenched his fist, lifted the phone, and asked, Well, you had something you wanted to say. Chapter 5. A few days after the shooting at the zoo, Dr. Leslie Foamkins finished giving a shot to young Bruce, telling that they were done. Martha thanked her and asked if it was the last one. Leslie confirmed he was good to go, but joked that if he started growing fangs or pointy ears, he should call her immediately. He agreed, and she warned that otherwise, that should be the end of him and bats. Later, at a funeral in the rain, a young Bruce stood with his mother, holding a rose. People gathered under umbrellas as the service took place. At present, Batman rode his bike through the city, revving the engine loudly at intersections, taunting onlooking party animals. Screens showed bounty updates as he passed by, but no one interfered. Batman was going to make the deal with Roman Sionis. Alfred took notes. He was tracking the bike. He noted that Batman seemed to be daring people to ruin the deal, but stopped where he was supposed to and entered a building. Alfred's handler said the mission was complete, but he chose to stay to see the deal unfold. At the hospital, Martha asked Jim if he was ready. Inside, she carried Gordon for mayor signs. Jim admitted the setback stunned. She reminded him how they met, when he arrested her for carrying a broken sign, but then paid for a new one. She explained people sometimes surprise you in good ways, and clarified her earlier apology was about the zoo's memorial light not being lit. At the funeral of Thomas Wayne, Gordon had told young Bruce he had seen many brave acts, but few brave people, and his father was one of them. He saw that in Bruce, too. He informed him the zoo would be torn down so he wouldn't have to see it again. At present, as a helicopter landed, Batman watched from a rooftop. Alfred pointed out how calm Batman was. All other party animals were jealous because he had won. Roman stepped from the helicopter, offering to make Batman rich, while privately admitting he envied him for learning too late. Roman confirmed the transfer of $200 million. Batman said that he had already spent it. When asked on what, he replied, "All of it." In a flashback, young Bruce ran through the rain to Gordon, telling him he didn't want the zoo torn down or replaced with something practical. He wanted something that would make everyone look, something that shines. In the present, it was revealed that Batman had stashed all the cash at the Gotham Zoo over the memorial floodlight. He asked Roman if he wanted to see how he spent it, and threw a switch. The Gotham sky lit up with the massive, illuminated bat symbol made entirely of money. News reports called it the Gotham Zoo Memorial Light. Roman, unimpressed, called it ugly, but the display caused him to cancel the deal with Batman. Batman told Roman he didn't need cars, planes, or computers. He just needed to be Batman. He attacked, striking Roman and the party animals with the bat thumb. He cut them, broke their bones, and incapacitated multiple goons. The thug whose hand Batman had cut off earlier attacked with a cleaver. Batman stabbed him through the shoulders with his shoulder spikes, pinning him in place. As the thug struggled, begging for help, Batman retracted the spikes and let him fall. Batman accused Roman of manufacturing the party animals' crimes for profit, caring nothing for the lives lost. Roman agreed, saying he didn't care, but Batman did. Roman ordered his men to open fire. Gunfire erupted, hitting several of Roman's own gang, forcing Batman to shield himself and others with his cape. Roman ordered him to be Ned. Several shooters fired nets, trapping Batman. Roman taunted him for missing the chance to take the money and join the big party. He moved in, dislocating Batman's shoulder and knocking his belief that he had achieved something. Batman revealed that Roman's confessions were already broadcast to every news station in Gotham. Roman knelt beside the injured Batman and acknowledged his cunning. He had not only set up the money as a signal, but he also burned it. Roman's partner pulled out one of the Battier blades and stabbed Batman repeatedly. Roman said that burning the cash and exposing the truth would inspire people, thinking himself the hero. "But you are not even the main character," he said. As he signaled, the kid unleashed a flamethrower on Batman. Dr. Benjamin took the baton from Batman's utility belt and fitted it to the axe head on Batman's chest. Then he kicked him, struck with the axe, and Batman fell from the rooftop. Batman fell but deployed his cape into a glider, crashing onto a vehicle. A helicopter spotted him, and Bullock radioed all units to 29th and 3rd. Armed vehicles moved in as the chopper's heavy gunfire set the rooftop ablaze. The gunner reported hitting Batman but confirmed he was still moving. Barbara responded that she was on the scene. Her police car sped out from a garage, but Batman suddenly leapt in front of it. He rolled off the hood and hit the ground. Barbara confronted him at gunpoint, warning she would shoot if he didn't stop. Batman, lowering himself into a manhole, told her to go ahead and shoot if she wanted to. Barbara stood down. When asked over the radio if there was any sign of him, she replied, "No. None." On a live broadcast, Roman revealed himself as Black Mask, recalling his childhood on a pig farm and killing pigs with a captive bolt pistol. He explained how rare moments occurred when an animal accepted death, comparing it to society, accepting a dead world ruled by the powerful. As his men loaded crates, he accused the system of exploitation. In a tunnel safe house, Alfred confronted a wounded Bruce, asking why. Bruce stitched his wounds and shouted for Alfred to set his arm, saying he had tagged Black Mask with a tracker. Alfred refused, insisting the consequences were Bruce's responsibility. Meanwhile, Roman declared that ideals and truth were dead, inviting Gotham to feast on the giant scraps. Since Batman refused his offer, he extended hundreds of millions to others. Surrounded by armed masked figures, Roman welcomed Gotham to the party as Gordon and Martha found themselves encircled by thugs. Chapter 6, the finale. A news report identified Roman Sionis as distributing crates of masks and firearms across Gotham to encourage joining the party animals. Viewers were urged to stay inside. In a gym, Waylon Croc Jones watched the news, armed with a bat, when he heard a crash. As a former AFC champ, he warned the intruder they had picked the wrong gym, but stopped when he recognized Bruce. Bruce stumbled forward and embraced him. Waylon asked what happened and if the party animals were responsible. Bruce, injured, gripped his shoulder, saying he was Batman and needed help. A flashlight showed a photo of young Bruce and his friends. One night, Martha tucked them in for a sleepover. Eddie was told to move over, while Harv refused the couch. Eddie teased that Bruce and Selina liked each other, prompting laughter. Martha began turning off the lights, but an armed man entered, ordering her out. She pleaded, but he aimed a gun. Bruce cried "Mom" before she was shot. This was the nightmare young Bruce woke from. He approached his mother, who was reading, and she called him over. He rested on her lap as she comforted him. In the present, chaos erupted as people fought over crates. Jim Gordon and Martha examined masks, and Martha put one on. The system in her mask scanned for targets and listed crimes with payouts, marking Jim for murder with a $1 million bounty. Jim urged her to leave, but she refused, saying they needed to stop it. On a train, Alfred's daughter Julia spoke on the phone, saying she was 6 stops away. An emergency alert announced a citywide stay-at-home order. Masked attackers entered the train. Julia's caller urged her to stay inside, but she was grabbed by one of them. Ozzy reacted angrily upon learning Bruce was Batman, demanding why he hadn't mentioned it. Bruce said he was trying to protect Ozzy and everyone else. Ozzy listed others' likely reactions. Waylon wanting to punch Bruce, Harvey wanting to arrest him, Eddie claiming he figured it out weeks ago, and uncertainty about Selina's view. Flying a plane, Ozzy spotted Roman's boat. Bruce explained Eddie's intel that Black Mass network was too big to destroy, but local servers could be crashed, possibly on that boat. He planned to blow it. Ozzy warned he barely had fuel to return to Gotham and couldn't save Bruce. Bruce replied he wasn't asking him or anyone else, then leapt from the plane toward the boat as thunder cracked. While Dr. Benjamin was playing music, that man landed directly on him. He grabbed life jackets, strapped them onto a bleeding Benjamin, and threw him into the sea. A mutant kid attacked, trying to stab him, but Batman caught him midair. The kid protested, saying Batman wouldn't hit a kid. Batman kicked him so hard he flew far into the sea. Roman's partner appeared looking for him, but upon seeing Batman, she jumped into the water herself. Batman smiled coldly and tossed her a life jacket. In a calmer flashback, Martha sat with young Bruce, looking through photo albums. She showed him a picture from before he was born, mentioning his father's band, The Movements. They looked at a photo of Bruce learning to walk, then a group photo of Bruce and his friends. Bruce said he loved it, telling her his father took it the morning of a class trip, just before a shooting started. Back in the present, Martha faced armed people, refusing to hand over masks to protect Gotham. Jim urged them to back away. A man blamed Gordon for Gotham's state, saying they needed something for themselves. Martha argued Black Mask's chaos was a game, and the only way to win was not to play. The attackers scanned targets, marking Martha and Jim each with a $1 million bounty, prompting Gordon to plead, "Don't do this." Meanwhile, it was revealed that Julia had not been abducted but taken to a private plane by Alfred, who intended to fly her out of the war zone. Julia ordered the plane not to take off, telling Alfred she had a life and people she cared about who needed her. Alfred insisted he would bring her back to Gotham when it was safe, saying he had seen the aftermath of Black Mask's chaos and couldn't risk her being there. Julia recalled keeping a suitcase packed as a child, hoping Alfred would take her on his adventures. Now, she said the last place she wanted to be was on a plane with him, and warned that if they took off, she would no longer have a father. When the pilot asked for a decision, Alfred ordered wheels up. On the boat, Roman attacked Batman, but Batman countered with a flying kick and pinned him to a wall. Roman mocked him, claiming he couldn't stop what was coming. Batman tackled him through the wall, seized a bowling ball, and repeatedly smashed it into Roman while demanding he say again how Batman didn't matter. He said he loved hearing it. Roman then pulled out a razor wire, wrapping it around Batman's neck and cutting deep. In a flashback, young Bruce and Martha looked at photos. She told him hope was difficult when things were rough, but that his father had always stayed hopeful, especially about him. In the present, Roman taunted Batman about the pig's screams when he killed them. Batman remembered his mother's words and his friends. With his weaponized ears, he struck Roman's face, breaking through his mask and taking his eyes, leaving Roman screaming in agony. In Gotham, assailants discussed the $1 million bounties on Martha and Jim Gordon. On the boat, Batman tied a life jacket around Roman's neck and threw him into the water. The attackers in Gotham ordered Martha to leave, but she vowed to make them pay if they shot Gordon and challenged them to be better. On the boat, Batman recalled his mother's words that death would come one day, but not yet. As assailants raised weapons at Martha in Gotham, Batman hurled grenades into the server room on the boat and leapt clear as a massive explosion erupted on the water. Batman was thrown away by the explosion. As he started sinking deeper into the water, unconscious, he remembered thanking his mom and saying, "I will go to sleep now." In Gotham, the attackers noticed the mass system had gone dead and questioned if that meant no money. Martha punched down one of the masked men. Before Bruce drifted off, he recalled his mother telling him she was proud of him. Though he had every right to give in to anger or fear, instead, he learned to use pain to become more determined and hopeful. As he sank, Martha's words echoed. He had to wear the pain like a cape and work every day to stop bad things from happening again. That was how he had to fight the nightmares. Before he slipped further, Alfred pulled him from the water, telling him if he was sticking around, then so was Batman. Alfred brought him to one of the safe houses and reassured him, "Let's patch you back up, kid." In the epilogue, a man reported to his master that Sionis had encountered a snag in Gotham. The master was revealed to be the Joker, his body grotesquely mutated with human flesh and heads crawling over him in knots. A withered hand extended as Joker declared, "It's time. Get Bane." That's it, folks. The first story arc of Absolute Batman wraps up here in all its brutal glory, but rest assured the darkness doesn't end. The next volume will be even more savage, featuring Absolute Mr. Freeze, Absolute Bane, and Absolute Killer Croc, each deadlier than the last. Till then, smash that subscribe button, share this with your fellow comic maniacs, and drop your thoughts in the comments section below. If you love this story, make sure to buy the book and support the comic book industry. These creators deserve it. See you all next week. It's been an absolute pleasure.